actually put this piece, because it's cold here in the UK, I put it under a heat lamp. And I knew I shouldn't have done that as soon as I've done it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. Now, I saw this piece and I immediately thought resin. It's not the greatest example of the piece, but I'm absolutely sure you can get this type of thing elsewhere than where I bought it. It's not that big. I thought it was going to be bigger, but I'm determined to make something decent, something good from this piece of wood. Now, we all love a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a cold drink, and sometimes you're sitting on the sofa and the coffee table is too far away and you don't have anywhere to put the coffee cup. Mine sits in my lap quite a lot. So this little table goes on the side of an armchair. There's plenty of different types available. These are just some I found on Amazon. I bought mine on Temu and I've seen them on TikTok. They're very popular at the moment. They're just spring-loaded armchair tables. But this one is wood, and wood is great at taking resin. And I thought it would be really cool just to make the top part prettier, more colourful, something to lift your spirits. So the first thing I'm going to do is to unscrew the springs from the bottom and take off the legs. While I'm creating my resin piece, I do not want to worry about it not sitting straight because the legs are on there. And they're just held in by tiny screws. And they really unscrew easily with a medium Phillips screwdriver. And I would presume that most of the armchair tables that I've shown you pictures of are roughly the same. By the way, I would like to just apologise here that if I sound a bit croaky, I am just getting over a cold and I'm doing my best. I'm cutting out all the sniffs and the snorts and the blowing of my nose, and hopefully it won't disrupt this video too much at all. Now that I've taken the screws off and the legs off, I'm making sure I've got the screws in a little bag, and together with the legs they are being put in a safe place so I don't lose them. Now, I'm only going to colour or create something in the centre part of this table. I'm not going to do the rim or the outside edge, and because of that I'm going to mask it up with masking tape and then go around the outside edge with a Stanley knife to cut a really clean edge into the masking tape so that I have a nice rounded, sharp masking tape edge. This knife is extremely sharp. It's probably what some people would call a scalpel. I would call it a really sharp blade, but I think they are actually classed as scalpels and therefore are spot on sharp. And I only use them occasionally when I'm cutting something like this that needs an extra sharp blade. As scalpels do, this thing will cut you very easily. So I am trying really hard to keep my fingers away. I cover the back with some old Christmas paper and I take it to the garage and I spray the entire front black. And then I can remove all of my tape. I didn't take you out in the garage. It's cold out there and I don't want you to catch the same cold I've got. So I wrapped up warm and I did it as quick as I could. The tape has done its job. It's kept the rest nice and clean, and I have a nice black surface, but only in the centre. Once all the tape is off, you can see it has a really nice crisp edge, and that gives me a really nice base for the start of my design. Now I'm just showing you here my alcohol bottle. It has a sticky piece of rhinestone wrapped around it, and I put it on that plastic bottle, trying it out to make sure it would work. And it's still stuck there, and it's been on there for about 8 months. And considering I use alcohol all the time, I'm surprised at that. This is the rhinestone sticky back plastic that I'm talking about. It came from Temu. You might be able to get it somewhere else. There might be a shop nearby that sells it. But this rhinestone sticky back plastic, I think, would make a great edge for the piece that I'm going to make. I want some sparkle, something to lift my spirits in the cold depths of winter, and I do think that sparkle can do that. So I've tried marking out exactly how thick I want it to be with some lines from a black pen, but trying to cut through this rhinestone is not easy. I mean, it's advertised as perfectly cuttable, but of course you're dealing with rhinestone pieces that are all jagged and all over the place. And when I turn it round, I realise that I'm cutting far too close to the edge on this half, and you'll see in a minute, half of it is thick and half of it is thin. Right, I'm going to cut it there. So I do end up snipping that and just keeping the thick bit. I'll use that thin bit somewhere else. You take off the back of the it's basically sticky back plastic on the back of these stones. So once you remove the covering, I'm really surprised how sticky they are. And I'm going to use them as the inside edge of this make to give it a really nice sparkle. And although I don't have a piece long enough to go right the way around the outside edge, it doesn't matter, because when you stick it together, you just butt it up to the next piece and you cannot see the join at all. So I go right the way around the inside edge with this silver rhinestone sticky back plastic type stuff. And you can get other colours. You can get gold and green and rose gold and all sorts. And it's quite heavy to the touch. It's not a thin plasticky type stuff. It feels like stone. It's that sort of weight. I think this stuff has got real potential. It's not necessarily made for resin, but why can't you put it in resin? It's great. And yes, there just happens to be a tiny bit left. But like I said, once that goes in, you can't see the join at all. It's really cool stuff to use. And I'm happy with how it's come out so far. You may be thinking, why has she sprayed the piece black? Well, I know that any colour that goes on top of the black is pushed out. It gives a great base. So I'm going to be covering this black base with metal size glue. Metal size glue is really thin. It dries completely clear, but stays tacky. So it'll hold on to whatever you put on it. And it dries quite quickly. It only takes about 45 minutes to really dry. No, it's not super glue. It's not going to dry that quickly. And as long as it's quite a thin coat, it can dry in 20 minutes. So I'm just going around and just making a even pattern on this with some sponge. And then I'm going to let it dry for about 45 minutes. I'm going to put Wyvern on this surface. Wyvern is a chameleon flake made by Emma the Tiny Turner. It's green, blue, gold, pink. Now, I'm not a green person really, but I kind of want a floral thing going on with this piece, and I figured green is going to have to go in the background, albeit with a little purple twist. So I'm putting the Wyvern all the way over the bottom, and I'm pushing it down onto the sticky surface with a fluffy makeup brush. Once it's all stuck down, you can burnish it into the surface and give it a real shine. And any leftover green powder can be tipped onto a piece of paper and go back into the pot like you would glitter. And just so you know, Emma told me the other day she's got new products coming out this year, so watch this space. I will be trying them out. But that green, purple, blue and pink and gold, look, it's got all the colours in there. It's another amazing colour from the Tiny Turner, and it is sold on toonpish.com. So as I said, I'm going to go floral with this design, and I've got some really cool floral and butterfly stickers. Again, I got these from Temu. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them on AliExpress, and probably lots of other places as well. They're holographic stickers. Now, I didn't actually know they were stickers until one of my subscribers mentioned in a comment, don't forget to take the back off, because I was just putting them down as in like just pictures. But when that lovely subscriber told me that I could take the back off, they are actually stickers. How beautiful. I've got lots of different flowers here. I'm going to do a variety of colours. I'm sticking them directly onto the Wyvern covered piece. And I'm going to flood this piece with different colour and different varieties of flowers. You could do whatever colours you want. You could do whatever stickers you want if you're doing this. I just think it would be bright and colourful with different flowers. When you're in the depths of winter, you really want something to lift you up and out of the cold. And I think holographic flowers, together with the sparkle and the butterflies that I'm going to add later, will do just that. Now I am going completely over the top with this piece. I am completely flooding it with colour and shapes and holographic pieces. You can do whatever your heart desires. Now it comes to me pouring some resin. I'm going to use Estoyo resin for this. I do have a rather nice 15% discount code for Estoyo that's on the screen. It's also in the description box below, together with an affiliate link. I'm using the Estoyo mixer, which is on a stand. It's an AI mixer that you set for 3 minutes and it does it all for you. You can walk away and do whatever you want, make a cup of tea if you want. Once it's all mixed, you do have to scrape the bottom and the sides of the cup to make sure there's no unmixed resin, and that's the same with any mixer. Now I've split a little of the resin into a separate tiny mixing cup, and I'm going to add in some liquid diamonds glitter. This was bought from Yvonne at Resin Supplies Den. They're a little Facebook group in the UK. They do take overseas people as well. They're so helpful, so sweet, and they sell pretty much anything to do with resin. So they're really worth checking out and go and have a chat with them. They're super nice as well. I'm going to use a little tiny bit of glitter on the very first layer of resin here, right the way around the outside edge. And I didn't make enough, so I had to put some more together, which was fine. It was just a little bit more glitter and a little bit more resin. I basically want the glitter to cover any black that is a gap between the rhinestone and the green surface, so that there is a seamless glittery type edge, if you see what I mean. That is my reason for doing this glitter around the outside edge, to make it seamless. Now of course glitter can travel in resin while it's curing, so I'm pushing it into the edge with a silicone tool to stop it from pouring out into the clear that I'm now going to pour into the centre. It won't stop it completely, but it will help. Once I'm happy with the placement of the glitter, then I'm going to use the rest of the resin in the centre. I only want a really thin layer of resin here. This area is quite thin and I'm going to do 2 layers of resin. So I'm using the heat gun to push the resin around to make sure it covers the bottom. Now this is where it went a little bit wrong. I actually put this piece, because it's cold here in the UK, I put it under a heat lamp. And I knew I shouldn't have done that as soon as I've done it. I only left it under there for an hour, but it makes the resin cure quicker, but it contracts a little more because it's holding on to the wood. It's bowed the wood. Now I can sort that out, and I will sort that out later, and I'll show you what I do. But for now, I'm just going to carry on with what I'm doing. So this is the second layer of stickers. This time I'm using butterflies. These are just silver holographic butterflies. I needed to get on with this piece and I needed to put these butterfly stickers down, which is the reason I put it under the curing lamp so it would cure faster. That was not a good idea. So although this resin is solid enough, it's not completely cured and it is quite soft to touch. So I'm being quite cautious with my placement of butterflies and my pushing pressure on the stickers. Now I am really liking this. You can see it's 3D from the way I'm turning it around for you to see, but it has definitely bowed. So I am patient and I do wait for it to completely cure overnight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely tape up the front this time. I'm going to tape up the front because I do not want any sawdust or anything going into my picture. And I took it out to the garage and I sanded the back just to make it back down to a flat surface. The tape did exactly what I wanted it to. There was no dust whatsoever on that resin. And I can now pour my final layer of resin on the top. It's not going to go up completely to the lip. I do want it below the lip so it still has a recess. I think the recess helps the stability of the piece, and I really like the idea of being able to feel the rhinestones above the resin level. This time I just put it underneath a tent to cure. I finished this piece off by putting the legs back on and sticking some vinyl lettering on that says "Now relax." The arm of my sofa is a little bit too wide for this, but it still works. For me, this piece gives sunshine and light and sparkle to the winter evenings, and I really hope you enjoyed watching it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week, happy crafting, and bye for now.